I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Greetings and welcome to the October 5th Harbor Committee meeting. We have Herb Samble, Marianne Eddy, John Parker is on Zoom, Lily will be on her way. Our legal counsel is Elizabeth Vale. Brant Reiner from Nelson Pope Voorhees is here, and our executive secretary and producer, and always a smiling person, Doris Alvarez. Thank you. So the first item is minutes. Has everybody reviewed the minutes?
Yes, sir.
Yes. No
Okay.
comments.
John, do you have any comments on the minutes?
No, I don't have my notes to compare them with, so my notes are down there in the village and I'm not, so.
Okay, look, let's just
You're pretty
table,
uncontroversial.
yeah. We
It
can
looks all right, but I can't compare with my notes.
have a motion to pass the minutes.
I make a motion to accept the minutes as written.
I second.
Okay,
All in favor?
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so we have approved minutes. Lily and,
Should I
Lily
text
notwithstanding.
Lily?
Yeah, why don't you do that just to see? Okay, so we have a public comments session, so if there's anybody from the public that would like to speak, either on Zoom, is anybody in Zoom?
We
Doris?
don't have any raised hands, but we do have Elizabeth Gilbert, Michael Berner, and Peter Dina.
Okay. Matt, would you like to say anything in public?
No, actually, I'm here for number two.
Okay,
For funds fire.
so it looks like nobody from the public has anything to say. Go on to number 3. Correspondence requiring action, 68 West Water Street. Is there somebody here that, oh, there is.
Doing that, yeah.
Hello.
Hello, Billy.
First council. For, Water Street, West Water Street. This is Sag Harbor Villas, the condo complex. And for the last 2 years, we've been treating their Phragmites by cutting them 2 to 3 times a year to mitigate their growth for removal.
Do you dig down and get the rhizomes or the roots out, or just cut them flush with
Well,
the,
yeah, with respect to the DEC permit, we're only allowed to
oh, okay,
cut. So cut and dethatch. And what that does, it exposes the banked seed that's in the soil. And we get native material growing.
oh,
We've seen anything from Spartina to some patents that are in there, and even backers starting to grow back. So it's
nice.
project. Yeah, like
When you mean detach, how does that work?
just get the dead material away, to expose the soils.
Right,
Is really what that's about. And there's layers of dead material over the years, so
yeah,
once that soil gets exposed to the sunlight, it has the Phragmites not growing to block the sunlight, it actually does prep
nice.
banks, native seed.
Do you do a lot of these?
We do a fair amount of them. Yeah, East Hampton, we do a lot, and down Southampton, we do a couple.
And are they they're pretty successful?
They are, it's tedious, it's just hand work. So you have to do it 3 times a year at prescribed times. It's generally before it goes to flower and just before it goes dormant. That weakens the root, so the plant actually gets less strong. We don't use any chemical treatments, it's just mechanical hand treatments.
And is there actually fewer plants coming up every year?
Definitely.
So
Great.
it's not all in vain. How many units are in that complex?
How many units?
Roughly.
Good question.
It's not really your domain.
Now,
And how much access to the bay is there?
so it's a full bay frontage.
No, I understand that.
And they have one access point that they use to go, they have a little tiny beach.
Right.
Part of this original permit was to restore the shoreline. Many, many years ago, they had built some non-ideal material, concrete, that was dealt with years ago. And we restored the shoreline. We put in biologs or core logs and replanted it with beach grass. Beach grass is doing fantastic. So the core logs are holding up. That's that one, they're holding up. And really, this is just about the fragmented control.
Is the reason you're taking the Phragmites out to provide access to the water?
Now, the access is there. It's really just to mitigate the invasive.
And does it block the view?
Probably does.
Yeah.
Okay.
But there's, other stuff growing in its place, not
Right.
high, but,
Right.
They don't have the full.
Right.
Well, thank you for being here. Do I hear a motion?
I move.
Oh, Brant,
Oh,
would you
Brent,
like to say something?
Oh,
I just felt like we didn't get to discuss this last time, because we asked Billy to come in and give an update on the status and everything.
mhm.
So while he's on the stand, I just would like to give him some questions that the board might want.
Go for it.
Sure. So the permit language was a little bit ambiguous here. It says the area, condition of the permit was that the area will be replanted with beach grass, plugs 12 inches on center every spring for 3 years. Now, is that the other area you were speaking to that you already?
Yeah, and I think that's more of a survival for the beach grass. Yes, I believe that's for the area that was restored.
Okay.
Um,
So you know that the beach plugs were established
yeah,
for 3 years?
yes.
I think it would be helpful to discuss those.
Sure, as a matter of fact, I do have the report with funds.
Oh, Kurt.
I was gonna see it to
Thank you.
Another thing is with regards to these Phragmites management projects, as we discussed before, monitoring, I think the report would be helpful just in terms of understanding the extent of the regrowth, like how effective is this?
Yeah.
The objective is to not have these things go on in perpetuity, to try to find better methods as we grow, So I think keeping track of the progress over the next 2 years especially, or 3 years, or longer, the extension report, would be extremely helpful for us. If, for instance, we had designated a specific area of 14,600 square feet. Are we still within that area? Have Phragmites tried to break over in other areas? Have there been root barriers installed to help promote the containment of the Phragmites in other areas?
To answer those, we have noticed that there has been no additional growth, but it is still in that zone. There is growth. The plants look like they're weaker, they're not as robust, but they're still growing in that area. And it would be really helpful to, I agree, if we could wean ourselves off hatred, it would be great. But the Phragmites is, it's there, it's almost there to stay. So I think the best solution we've done on this is to continue the maintenance. Unless you get into excavation of the root mass, we've done that on a couple of projects, so that in fact. This project we did, right, will come to me, but in the village of Sag Harbor, we excavated. And that doesn't seem to need that much.
How do you get permission to excavate versus just trim?
It's harder to get that permission.
Mhm.
Do you have to come to us? 'Cause we-
Yes,
And we've given you, that's
Yeah,
not 12
was a
green, is it?
71 Glover. It's probably about 10 years ago
Okay,
that we got that permit to do the excavation. And the Phragmites there are pretty limited. The DEC did grant that because there was other material that had to come out.
Oh.
So they're not necessarily very keen on giving excavation permits for Phragmites unless there's other foreign material that's in there. It's hard to.
So I would recommend to the board that they give consideration to an alternative method, which our office has executed on certain projects. It's not a digging, no hydraulic mechanisms are used. It's simply using a specialized shovel. It's called the Wood Assassin, that you actually go in and just take the shovel, with your foot and you push it into the rhizomes and it cuts the rhizomes. So it's a fairly non-invasive way of trying to help the cutting of the exposed stems to die them.
So you do the cutting and you do this digging?
Yeah, and again, it's not digging the rhizomes out, it's simply
Just
just
the-
pushing the shovel into the ground, almost like you're just taking a sword and serrating something. Again,
Would that satisfy the DEC?
we've had a success with getting that permit.
Love to move on.
Again, because the objective is not to pull the rhizomes out, but to die off.
That's interesting.
naturally. And once they get flooded, if they're in an area of water especially, that's extremely helpful. But even if they're not in water, it's still an effective, relatively non-invasive way to, try to double attack the bait.
Yeah, I'd be eager to get more information on that. Perhaps even push this application eventually to something like that.
Okay, yeah, I think that's something that the board can consider.
Yeah, we'd have to modify the secret to do it.
So this is a 3-year extension, and between now and then, it would be worth,
Trying to just apply for something that Brandon mentioned, sure.
if you applied for DEC now for that, you got the green light for 3 years here, maybe DEC gives it to them. If they do, could Billy come back and,
I think that there would be a simple, at least you'd have the support of your consultant to approve such a method to help combat Phragmites. If the DEC is willing to agree to it, and Billy and his team is able to get a permit modification from them to recognize that, they can come back to your board and ask for your consideration as well.
what's the estimated labor differential?
A lot. It's very labor intensive.
Yeah.
It's all handwork.
Yeah.
But the guys are already out there, so it's maybe one guy doing shovel, or 2 or 3 guys doing the shovel work, and 2 or 3 guys doing the cutting.
Oh, okay.
But the idea is if it reduces more significantly than just cutting, then it would be worthwhile.
So the
Right.
short-term labor is more,
Yeah.
the long-term is that
Kind of
ultimately
interesting.
finding a way to help keep the vigor down, so the cutting is less over time.
Right. So do we want, so you want to let us know if the DEC approves this or,
Absolutely, I would come in, if we'll attempt to modify the DEC.
okay,
Get that approval, which we'd love to do, then we come back and modify this permit
okay,
to reflect the DEC.
okay, good. Yeah,
I have a question. Could we modify the permit to approve that now? In other words, we'd approve that cutting contingent on the DEC approving it, so he doesn't have to come back?
Well, I think the board would want to have something in their files that shows the methods, so he would
Right.
probably have to just submit something to us to demonstrate the method that he's proposing to use.
Right.
So we have a clear record of what you're approving.
Yeah, and I'm happy to come back to it.
Great, okay.
okay. Great.
Other than that, we have no other comments about this.
All right.
Anything else?
So do I hear a motion to?
Yeah, so what are we actually doing? Are we just extending this 3 years with a footnote that we in fact hope to explore this more novel approach? Or are we just extending it for 3 years and Billy's gonna go away and try this novel approach
I think that's what it is. It's the latter.
and you're gonna report back if you get a DEC permit?
Yeah.
Okay, but let us know because this is something we might want to recommend to other people.
Yeah, I'm encouraged by the suggestion that you're saying with the.
Yeah. Bruce Sassers. Okay. We'll be happy to share the methodology with you and we'll study them and see what's great. Appreciate that. And
Great.
It's not 100% effective because it's fragmented, you know, identify the most effective way, which is pretty difficult to get permits, so this is an alternative.
All right, so I make a motion to extend this permit for 3 years as requested by the applicant.
Have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Thank you, guys.
thank you,
Thank
Billy. Okay, item 2, B&S Courtyard LLC, 14 Vitale Sealy.
Good afternoon, board. And items for the applicant. So this is for a dock permit that was issued in June 2019 to Glover LLC. The property was changed hands and was purchased by B&S Courtyard LLC recently. And we'd like to renew and transfer the dock permit to the name of B&S Courtyard LLC. The project is identical to what this board has approved in the past. I'm here to answer any questions
So all we're doing is changing the name on the permit
and just renewing.
and renewing it.
Is this the one that doesn't have the dock? There's
It's
two-
got a couple, yeah.
There are 2 docks.
Yeah, there's no dock on the property now.
Okay, it's the house that comes right out to the street, looks like.
I'm not sure if that's it or on the other side.
Okay.
That I think is to the north. So,
Okay,
yeah.
I have no objection if anybody,
that neighborhood has really changed, huh?
Yeah.
I'm happy to,
Or,
You what?
I know what house you're talking about.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's just right to
Yeah.
the gravel road there.
Yeah.
I'm surprised. You know which one I'm talking about?
No, but I have a friend that lives there who's like always full of angst about what's going on there.
It's a construction zone.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff going on over there.
Yeah.
Brant, do you have any comments?
No, I only had would like some clarification. I feel like the permit that I see in our files included a whole bunch of other site works, all the other site works included.
No, I think it's undergoing. So yeah, I saw that. I guess they simultaneously went for wetland permits for all the upland improvements. So that was a separate permit. So, and that included the upland work, included the establishment. The buffer.
Buffer,
Yeah.
right? So it's interesting, I see the dock noted in proposed plan description for that permit.
For the upland?
Yeah, it says construction 2-story,
Yeah.
single family dwelling, dock. What's that? No, this is a wetlands permit. It's from 2021 or 14 Vitale. So. And it says, comprise 4x58 elevated catwalk, the grade section, 3x12.
That road is just amazing now. It's,
You need to listen to this. It's kind of
And
weird.
it says install an IA system,
Yeah.
swimming pool with a 50-foot buffer.
This is more than just a
So
dog.
this seems to link them.
Yeah, so it sounds like,
Do you have a separate permit that,
well, I just had the dock permit for 2019.
okay,
So that was already issued.
so this permit was issued
Is it 2021?
in June 3rd, 2021. And
Was it renewed?
Has it expired?
it would have expired 2 years. I'm assuming.
June of 23.
Yeah, it would have,
Was it
they're
under,
usually 2 years, yep, so it would have expired in June of this year.
was it under BNS or under? Well,
It was under BNS Courtyard LLC. So
so I still like.
I don't know what we're renewing, because if you had, so if that was issued in 2019, and then you issued a subsequent permit in 2021, which included the dock, perhaps you're renewing that permit,
I think we need to have the whole package looked at and renewed, because it seems that whatever's going on there is kind of going on without a permit.
Well, yeah, if the work is undergoing, and in fact, this permit is the most recent. It would have expired
In June.
2023, unless we did a renewal for it in June of this year.
I don't remember.
So again, I don't know, I mean, maybe Liz and I need to talk about the proper course of action here. Because if you have two permits for the same,
They need to figure out what they're asking for.
Yeah, what I
Yeah.
can, let me clarify with the owner, I mean,
Yeah.
he basically got me involved with the doc specifically. So I'll talk to him and then maybe what the remedy is, then we just renew if the 2021 expires.
That sounds-
2021.
Yeah, make sure.
That sounds like
Yeah,
the
we'll do
route.
that, and that way, it'll clean up everybody's record.
Yeah,
Okay, let me do that and I'll come back, it's fine, I think.
okay.
Matt, just to make a note to reach out and.
Yeah.
I'll look at my files in more detail,
Okay,
see if we can sort it out.
alright, so I'll email first, the owner, and I'll touch base. Okay,
Great.
alright, have a good evening.
Thank you, Matt.
Bye.
Thank you. Item 364 Germain Avenue.
He's gonna come back.
Oh, this is the factory.
Mhm.
Good evening, Dennis Downs, attorney for the applicant. This is the factory building on Germain Avenue. We are finally at the end of the road. Health Department cut us from 4 units back to 3. And they're insisting that we merge the wetlands parcel with the upland factory parcel as a condition. Which,
What does that mean?
well, we have to merge the deeds, put the 2 deeds together.
Is the permit that we gave,
offered up the wetlands in order to get the density on the factory piece. And they cut us back 1 unit on the factory. We originally approved for 4 units in the existing factory.
So I don't understand. So there's wetlands behind the property,
There's wetlands going as you go down Joel's Lane.
right? And you,
That lot's now gonna be merged with the factory parcel.
The upland portion of the
So
road.
there'll be one deed as opposed to 2.
the prior deed was owned by whom?
64 Germain is owned by, at the current time, it's owned by David Silverstein in an LLC. And 18 Joel's, which is the wetlands, that's also owned by him in a different LLC. So now they're all gonna go into one LLC,
And there'll be one tax map.
one tax lot, yes.
Yeah, it'll become one tax map.
and the permit that we have is for the one on Germain, correct?
For both.
Oh. So we were envisioning that it was gonna be a combo package?
No, we didn't envision that we'd have to merge them. We envisioned that they would always be kept together. That
Okay,
you can't build on a wetlands lot. It is all wetlands.
right.
And it's fragmented going from street to back.
Yeah. And you couldn't get the density of 4 units?
We were
I
close.
wouldn't say
They
it's not
wouldn't
buildable.
allow us to buy Pine Barrens credits because they changed the rules that you have to buy the Pine Barrens credits in the school district where you're doing the project. And there are none here.
Couldn't you get them from Ash Park or something?
No, they wouldn't. In the past, we used to get them from East Hampton town. But they didn't allow it this time.
So
What
that-
is a Pine Barrens permit? I'm sorry, I've never heard of such a thing.
It's
Transfer.
a permit issued by the Suffolk County Water Authority, I think. Yeah, because we have the meetings.
It's a
at the
Pine
Water
Barrens
Authority.
Commission. It's by the Pine Barrens
Well,
Commission.
it's a Pine Barrens Commission.
They
but
issue a
the
certificate.
meeting room is in the Water Authority. As you
Okay.
Go off towards Southern State Parkway. That's where I've been up. I've gone up there to close titles.
What is the septic?
It's a transfer of groundwater flow.
So what are you doing?
So you're preserving something else and transferring that groundwater flow to this site
Right.
for health department purposes, to allow the density that they're seeking. And it's
Now the
often,
rules, you have to do that within the school district where you're
Which is
doing the
difficult.
project.
Oh, but there's
Yeah.
nothing
And there
there.
are none. It's just-
there's a
Nothing.
bunch in Riverhead, right? So we could transfer a bunch from Riverhead, but it's very difficult within the same school district to do that.
Dennis, what is the sewage hookup? What's your methodology of?
We have IA systems.
Yeah.
That are on the factory parcel.
Each
Nothing
unit
is
has,
near the wetlands.
each
All that's been
unit,
approved.
each unit has its own system?
Excuse me?
Each unit has its own system?
Yeah, there's 3 systems in there, I believe.
So the permit that exists for this combo lot situation was issued in 2016. So it's expired now for like 4 or 5 years?
7 years. That's
But
how
there's-
long we've been before the health department.
But there's been work, I pass it all the time, there's work going on there.
Yeah, we have a building permit to do some windows, door replacements, and some interior work, but that's it.
7 years?
You haven't put in the IA systems?
No,
Well, everything just shut down for a while,
It was
right?
shut down for a while because the client was wondering whether he was ever gonna get a permit.
Right.
All he did was spend money. Didn't see the light at the end of the tunnel. Finally, the health department, we had a meeting with them and they said, this is what we're willing to do. We said, okay, we'll do it. And we've been processing the papers. In fact, I just sent the declaration into the county about a week ago for recording.
What's
The declaration that the health department required.
When do you estimate the project will be done?
It's probably an 18 to 24-month project.
Yeah.
Once they, get a shovel in the ground.
And what's the parcel size now?
Excuse me?
What's the parcel size?
Good question. I think there's about 2.5, 3 acres with the wetlands.
And without the wetlands?
The wetlands are over an acre.
Boy, this is a real missed opportunity for density. But I guess I can't comment beyond that.
And the other problem we had was, not that it means anything to you, but when the Scavonis bought the property from Shearer, Mr. Shearer split off a half-acre parcel on Joel's Lane for a building lot, but he didn't go through the planning board process because there was none at the time. He didn't have subdivision regulations, it's a call. So he just split off a half acre. That was all upland, and didn't go to the health department, so we had to process that application as well. That took almost 2 years.
This is making you rich, Dennis.
Not me, most of the, tell you, the surveyors are doing very well. Unfortunately, Mr. Silverstein's capable of doing some of this stuff himself.
So what are you here asking us for?
Just to renew the harbor committee permit for the factory building.
And it was a permit that we issued in 2016.
Yes,
Brent, have you looked at this permit? This goes back, I mean, I was around, I remember this application vaguely. Do we have any issues or questions about it? You've downsized it from 4 units to 3 units.
correct.
Does that impact our process?
There's one less system that,
No, it's one less septic system, one less swimming pool, because each unit had its own interior swimming pool. They eliminated the clubhouse swimming pool, increased the parking,
And each individual unit has its own septic IA system?
yes.
and it's owned as a condominium, so is the real estate where the IA systems are located, those are privately owned or those are limited common elements? How are they gonna work that out, do you know?
That hasn't been worked out, but
Okay.
it'll probably be a common element,
So,
because there's gonna be some uniformity. In other words, each one is gonna pump down
Right.
into a system.
Right, but maintained by the condo
It'll be
association?
maintained by the condominium.
That's an interesting question. Would there be any value in doing one IA system for 3 units?
that's.
Well, no, I'm not trying to make it
The reason
difficult.
I'm saying is because I thought I gotta go back to the health department.
Well, it's
No,
it's only been
they-
7 years. I'm just curious, just
Right.
mechanically, if there's an advantage.
But there's real hesitation on the part of the Suffolk County Health Department to approve commonality of septic systems.
Yeah,
There's like one homeowners association, I think up in North Sea, that has some common, it was like a one-off experiment. I can see here where there's legally defined different areas, they're gonna say no.
There's one on Brick Hill Road and Stony Hill Road. They have a common water system.
oh, I know,
And
yeah.
it's a nightmare.
They have a common water
They have a
system
common water system for all those new condominiums. that are-
Because they can't meter them individually, et cetera.
and a common septic system?
I'm not sure about that, but I know they have a common water system because they were fined a couple of times for not keeping proper records.
Okay,
Brent, what kind of questions do you have about this?
My only comment is wetland permit speaks to specific plans that the harbor committee approved. And I feel as though those plans have changed, especially since maybe the density has changed, the layouts have changed. You might want to take a look at the plans to make sure it's, you
Right.
know, still within.
I have no problem with doing any of that, it's just that the, going from 4 to 3, it's, everything is inside the building. We have 4 units inside the existing building, there's an existing factory, that hasn't been used for years. And, so there's just 3 units in it instead of 4.
Well, Dennis, maybe you could submit like an updated, survey, if you will, an internal plan, and we could make an approval subject to your review of that, Brant?
So I would suggest that Mr. Downs looks at the wetland permit and the plans that were approved by this board, and provide the board with the same plans that are updated, so that there's a consistency in the record.
Right.
The board could simply just look at them and say, yes, we're fine with these, and
It is from our standpoint, an improvement, right?
what's that?
It is from our standpoint, an improvement, one fewer septic system,
Yeah, I
so.
think it's more of just a procedural type of thing to make sure your record is clear.
Right.
Because your wetland permit right now speaks to different plans than what Mr. Down's client are looking.
They're gonna
Right.
execute, right?
So this goes back to everything we've been talking about over the past couple of months, like consistency.
Yeah,
I just want to make sure the record.
so do I hear a motion to bring,
One more point, if you don't mind. We have been before the ZBA and the planning board, and both permits have been extended. Planning board extended for 2 years, 2, and the ZBA was 1 year.
Good. I think we want to see the updated plans, and there shouldn't be any problems. I don't,
I mean, Liz can weigh in on this, but I think it's like a simple modification to recognize the new plans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, and then renew it so that it just starts the clock now.
what's the most recent survey?
Probably within a year and a half.
why?
Health department.
Well, every time you do something with the health department, they sometimes want you to.
Yeah.
Update your survey, that's
So
true.
we're
You're putting in,
updating it
yeah,
As we go along.
yes, of course.
It was done by Drew Bennett, he did the engineering on it.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so I think we need to hear a motion with those provisions
I move.
A motion to what?
to,
I thought we were asking Dennis to come back with the updated,
to come back
Oh.
with the updated information. I guess a year and a half is sufficient time back for a survey.
So I was hesitating to bring this to anyone's attention, but, if this application dates back to 2016, the question is, what's the wetland? The wetland boundary delineation is subject to fluctuation. It's been 7 years. I don't think that it's worth, reconsidering unless the board had some sensitivity to it before. But there is the opportunity to do that. And I don't think it's necessary. I just want the board to
Do you
understand.
have a recent wetland survey?
I'm not sure if we do, but I'll have it reflect.
that would
Okay,
be great. Thank you.
Well, okay, then I think we
My
do
recollection
have a
was
second
we had
here.
Plenty of rain as part of the factory, it went back far enough before you got to the wetlands. And we've eliminated some structures from that area, so.
how much parking do you have for the site?
Excuse me?
How much parking do you have?
Well, now we got more than we need. We had enough before.
Uh-huh.
I think there were 2 or 3 per unit.
Are there garages or it's just?
No, it's open space.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
There was a beautiful tree there. Do you know whether or not they saved that tree? This is going back to 2016. There was just a beautiful
One-
tree.
One tree had to come out in order for the driveway to go in, the common driveway. And I'm not sure if that's ever been done.
Yeah, there's just a
I mean,
beautiful
Pretty
tree.
much what you see there now is what.
Yeah, I just drive by it. I never think to look, but there was a lot of discussion about that tree back in
You
2016.
know, it was on Joel's or on,
No, it was on Jermaine.
Jermaine, nothing's being touched on Jermaine.
There's a big tree there
The
still.
driveway entrance
Yeah,
that we have on
that was
Jermaine
it.
right now, that's being closed off. The entrance is on Joel's.
Somebody was trying to tell us that it was not healthy, and we were like pushing back on that, and evidently it survived, so. All right, so what are we saying, that we need to reflag, which means we need a new survey?
Yeah, I'll get it reflagged and blocked.
Okay, thank you.
Or anything that's been done in the last year? You have one?
I doubt it. The health department really doesn't get into those issues.
They don't care about
Right.
wetlands.
This has really been a health department issue for the last 5 or 6 years.
Okay.
Thank you.
Be back next month.
Thank you.
So you're looking for a motion?
Yeah, I wanna
We
hear-
don't need a
yeah.
motion, do we?
Well, just to
Table,
table
are we
this.
tabling it? Is
You
that,
can table it, but if he's gonna come back, it's up to the board. You can
Yeah,
table it if you want.
Just,
just come back.
we'll see you in November.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Brent, were you starting to say something? No.
I just think it's really unfortunate. We could have put another unit there.
No, we're just rolling it over.
Come
Yeah.
back.
Yeah.
I personally think that. Okay, the Pumpkin Partners has been tabled. Doris? Okay, so we will skip to new business.
We do need a motion.
I make
Oh,
a
we do
motion
need-
to
oh, okay.
table Pumpkin Partners until November 5th. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so that has been tabled until
The next meeting is November 2nd.
Oh, sorry.
November 2nd. New business, wetlands permit application for John and Renee Fondacaro for Notre Dame Road.
I make a motion to open the public hearing for 4 Notre Dame.
Here a second.
Second.
Okay.
All in favor?
Oh, all those in
Aye.
favor? Sorry, didn't know there was a motion for that. Okay. I don't think anybody would object to that.
Lisa Poyer, from Fourth Minutes on behalf of the applicant. The application for you tonight has been designed from the get-go to adhere to the standards of the code in regards to setbacks. The owner is looking to do a small addition to their residence. It's a 1 and 2 story addition. It's going to be 199 square feet. It is located 87.9 feet from the wetland setbacks. And then there are going to be 6 small fill-in additions on the house. They're just filling in notches with the corners of the house. Each addition is 1.3 square feet. And that's a total of 7.2 square feet. House. For those little fill-ins, they're going to be like 93 feet all the way up to 128 feet from the wetland setbacks.
Well, excuse me, when you say from the wetland setbacks, you mean from the wetlands
I'm sorry,
itself?
from the wetland one,
Yeah.
from the wetland limit, excuse me. In addition, they're proposing to do 2 front porch additions. They're just going to expand the width of the front porch across the front of the property. Those are going to be 131 and 135 feet from the wetland limit. And then they're also looking to fill in or square out one corner of the rear decking. And that setback will be 77.2 feet. And then they're also looking to square out this other corner here and to construct an elevated swimming pool. And that will be 75 feet from the wetland limit. It's elevated to be at the decking level, so we have in your submission packages cross sections that show the footings will not go into groundwater, they will maintain the minimum 2-foot separation distance. So like I said, the entire project is designed to meet the wetland standard setbacks.
And excuse me, that's also true of the footings and foundation, that'll be 75 feet back at that point at the
That
pool.
meets those setbacks as well, and they will be meeting the 2-foot elevation or separation distance between groundwater.
Yeah,
And we've done a test hole on the property, the front yard and groundwater is at 1.3 in elevation.
but you'll have to run some construction management and some sedimentation control through the wetlands.
We are
Setback.
requesting a 50-foot wetland buffer on the property where 30 feet exists right now to about. So we're actually proposing to do a silt fence right at the 50-foot wetland setback limit. And so that way, this will stay intact during all construction activities. The initial phase will be doing the excavation for the foundation, for the footings. It's all gonna be in this area, in previously disturbed areas of the property.
Side yard.
Once that's done, all the heavy machinery, which consists of, small backhoe, kind of a little excavator, will be removed from the site, and then pretty much everything will just be general screening.
So one thing I would ask you is, if you've considered moving those stairs to the side of the deck, because they do not meet the setback.
The stairs were permitted with the prior permit. and
Right,
they
but
have
everything is
CO.
kind of up now for grabs because you're asking for other things, right? So I think we could ask for those stairs to be within this, outside of the
That's
setbacks.
something I have to go back to the client
Yeah.
and discuss with them. Or you could do a conditional approval, that's your. There's will be no tree removal for the property, because most of the proposed addition and construction work is around the existing residents,
Right.
previous disturbed areas. And we have spoken with the neighbor to the north of the property, and she has no objections to the overall project as well.
How about the neighbor to the south?
There isn't
Um,
one.
We have not spoken with them directly, they are actually in construction, doing work on their property.
Because the pools there would be closest to their house, correct?
Correct.
And isn't there a 15-foot side yard setback?
Right, everything is 16.6
Six.
For the
feet.
pool.
For the
The
pool,
pool is
14 feet,
14.
it's existing 12.7.
right, so the proposed pool is 14. That would be something we would have to discuss, I guess, with Chris Talbot. I think it's a
Variance.
15-foot.
You'll need a variance.
Okay, we can adjust that.
Where's the image of the existing conditions? Do we have that in the drawings?
It is there on a survey.
I think this has got it. Am I wrong?
The survey shows the proposed.
Yeah, you said, because you said there's only 3 feet of buffer there now, is that what I heard you
There's
say?
about, the edge of clearing is this line here.
A lot of
So right in
grass.
this area, you're anywhere 3 to 6 feet from the edge of the lawn to the wetland.
So they're gonna. So you're proposing to do a non-disturbance
Correct.
area in that first 50 feet.
Correct, 50-foot non-disturbance, non-fertilization buffer. And there is a planting plan in your package as well. And then there'll be a 4-foot wide path from the developed area down to the existing non-property.
The planting plan, do they say?
What's, one of the options for the stair, you could engage it in the northern part of the, Sorry.
There you go.
Essentially put the staircase in that area
Right.
as opposed to in the buffer. And if that would work, and so you might
Well, it's not
suggest
in the
that
buffer, but it's within the 75 feet.
within the 75 feet.
Yeah,
If you could,
But that's,
I believe the architect is on via Zoom.
it's sort of be symmetrical. On one side you have a swimming pool and on the other side you have your staircase. Either that or they could recess the staircase into the deck.
that's what I just said.
Well, no, well, I thought you meant that you'd actually take the staircase and put the staircase here.
John?
Hi guys, this is John Gramlich, architect. I just was unmuted, so Do you want me to speak on the stairs?
Yes,
Okay, so obviously the stairs are existing, so we really didn't intend to change that, mainly because when you come out of the addition, it's a beautiful view to walk straight down into the yard. So I actually wanted to make the stairs a little bit smaller, but obviously I don't get to spend all the clients' money because they're kind of wide. So I would have liked to make them a little smaller, and that way to get a little bit better use of the deck, because the stairs being there, as you can see, there's a whole area where there's no real usable space other than blocking the stair. However, what you guys are suggesting is maybe we move the stair. The only place we could really put it is on the side, which, design wise, it will look weird. I can't say that in any other way. It's just going to look very, very odd. It's going to be pure purpose function. Instead of kind of have this symmetrical look. And then I think somebody said, what if we recess it? You can see how big they are. There's a ton of stairs to go from where they are down. So if you recess it, you just kill the whole back deck.
Well, but the law is 75 feet. So I would challenge you to think creatively about how you can meet the setback rule here.
Sure, understand the law. I get that, but it's an existing condition. So I didn't have to face that, or I wasn't expecting to face it. If you want me to think creatively, I think the only place we could put it is if, let's say, the pool was rejected, it would either be on that side or the other side, which creatively speaking is terrible choices, because no one would put their stairs, that many stairs going off to the side. When you get done at the bottom of the stairs, you don't have an appropriate landing. You're right at the fence of the property line.
And are you replacing the wood of the pre-existing stairs?
I could
No.
just put it like this.
We have no intention of replacing the decking or the stairs at all.
But they say no.
No, they can't say no.
What's the elevation on the stairs?
do you have a section of the deck?
These are the stairs.
Is there a section in our drawings?
If you look on page 2, you can see there's a full cross section, but you can
I think
see
the pool section might give you an idea of elevations.
Okay, let's look and see.
on page,
Okay, yeah, thank you.
Is that over here?
So it's 4.5 feet to grade, correct? Más o menos?
Más o menos, yeah.
4'4" plus, I can't read it. Well, it's about
It's about 4'8", 4 foot roughly.
okay,
Yeah, so at an 8-inch max rise, we're doing the math here, even if it's 48, it's 6 risers. I think that's what it is right now.
you got a fairly symmetrical facade looking out into the water, is that what you're?
Yes.
How is that deck used versus? Well, let's see, I mean, if you engage the deck a little bit, if you split the difference, let's say, for the sake of discussion, if you engage it into the existing wood deck, how bad would that be?
Well, if I'm honest with you guys, the more that we cut into that deck, the more the deck becomes unusable, because where the stairs are is where we come onto the deck from the great room, like with double doors. So it's a good place to recess it if we really had to do it, because that's kind of the pathway, but it's also unfortunate the deck is kind of skinny. So there's not a whole lot of opportunity, width-wise or depth in this case to really, and obviously if we cut into the deck. So I think if we're trying to meet the 75 foot, there's only one solution, which is the side.
Yep. And then that's actually symmetrical with the pool on the other side.
No.
Huh?
No.
No.
Yeah, it is.
Well, not really, because
I mean, you have a
can't
pool
make
here and you
symmetry
have the
between stairs and a pool.
stairs there.
Yeah.
what if you partially recessed it, John? But not
I
all,
think that's a better solution than the side.
narrow the width of the stairs as well. If we
Or-
set it in a few
Or I
feet
got another solution. If say we eliminated the steps and we put whoever's saying on the side, if we were to go sort of on the sides towards the property line, that wouldn't be so good. But if we were to sort of parallel on the side, then maybe we're cutting into the wetlands a little bit. Because obviously when we go off the side, we need a little landing, let's say 3 by 3.
I don't
And then we go-
understand.
Then we shoot
Does
down
anybody
parallel to
understand?
the side. So that might be a good one for the side rather than the stair being where it is. Does that make
I don't,
sense?
no, I can't understand. I don't understand. I'm sorry, I'm not
Here's the
getting a
house
visual
now.
on that. Are
This
you
is good.
understanding that? Well, I was there, I
Yeah.
understand, but where is he talking about putting the stairs?
So if you're looking at the deck where we're on the opposite side of the pool
Right,
and we want to square the deck off.
Yep.
right.
So that square portion, that leg, you can see by the width of the stairs, if we took those stairs and put them over there, the stairs would be about 3 feet wide. Right, so the setback on that side instead of 16.6 would be 3 feet less than that. And if you're walking from the backyard where you're facing the house, you'd walk up the steps in the same manner that they are right now. You'd hit a landing and then you'd make a right turn onto the deck. So I'm running new stairs, only 3 feet wide, parallel to the end of the deck.
Talking about putting them right here or out here?
Hey, Lisa, can you show what I mean?
Is he gonna need a zoning variance at that point?
And that's what why I'm saying, that's a
Did you
solution for
figure out how you
wetlands,
wanna
but
bring
it's
it
not
here?
necessarily a zoning solution.
Yeah, Liz, is he gonna need a zoning variance in that case?
Probably. We'd have to see the
What's the
setback.
suggestion?
I believe he's saying to put
Yeah.
stairs running this way,
Yeah,
and then the width of the stairs running up would be the encroachment into the 75-foot.
And why is
Instead of
that,
narrowing it,
right,
it would be narrower than, it would be less area than these current stairs. It would be a compromise.
not much. The stairs are gonna be 3 feet wide and those stairs are now 4 feet?
No, more than that, I think.
No, the stairs right now, if I'm talking width, that would be there, let's say they're like 10 feet wide.
yeah.
They're very wide.
They're
Well, I
really
was
wide.
there, They're really high.
And
They're
then,
very
and then
steep.
depth wise, there may be around 4 feet, 5 feet. Hey, Lisa, can you hold that picture that you're drawing up to the camera? Well, I gotta have better eyesight. Okay, let's see what you did.
Talking about,
No, I'm saying on the side of it. So do you see where the addition meets the deck?
right here.
Right there. Go to the property line 3 feet. Come towards me 3 feet to make
Yeah,
a square and the
right
stairs
like
go right there.
this.
Correct. So that direction, sorry, on the side.
That would mean the stairs would be fully behind the 75-foot line, but unfortunately, they probably would be in the zoning setback because the setback
Right.
would only be
Yeah.
13.
So,
Well, you
so
need 2
what if you
feet.
just, they're only 3 feet, so why don't you just like bring that into the deck? I think that's a good plan.
Because
But
you
I-
have doors and windows here that you're gonna be walking out. Almost falling.
Well, maybe, maybe not. I'm not sure. How wide is that right there and how, I don't know what the dimensions are here. So this, we're talking this right here, this is, what is this? This is 87, and then this one is 77. So how wide is that deck?
I'm
What's
sorry,
got
what was that
next?
last question? My video skipped a little bit.
The depth of the depth.
The depth of the deck? Okay, from the new addition out, it's about 11'6". And the stairs are 6 feet deep. So
So-
being that we have 11'6", if we took the 6 foot deep plus a 3x3 landing, which is kind of required, we would have 9 feet. So that means the stair would be fully out of the 75-foot setback, but obviously, I think, somebody who mentioned this, but I think they're right, we would need a zoning setback because we're under the 15 foot at that point, and it's something new.
I have another suggestion.
Sure, let's hear it.
To maintain your formal composition, which I think is important to consider.
Thank you.
You could do a double stair, which is essentially, let's just say if you want to do 4 feet. So if
Okay.
you engage 4 feet and you just go 90 degrees, so you come out, you have a railing, but you go around the railing down on the left or right, and you're done.
There you go.
That's what I.
Capiche? And that's a very, that's in the spirit of the existing architecture. So it still gives you that central axis. It reduces the volume of the staircase. And it, I think, deals with your circulation.
I like the idea a lot, especially for the symmetry and the way you use it. I'm just, will it satisfy the board member on the 75-foot setback though, because it'll still be over that?
And why?
Well, instead of the stairs going straight down, which is a dimension of 6 feet, what the board member proposed is that we would only stick out 3 feet. And we would go left to right with the stairs, which is
No,
a
you're making
decrease.
the stairs narrower, right?
The term I used was engaged. So if you keep the stairs at 4 feet wide, that gives you 7 foot of deck coming out of the house. With a railing, you go right down the step or left down to the steps. So that keeps you out of the wetlands altogether.
Oh, sorry, you're recessing it to save a little space. Gotcha.
Yeah, and I
So
understand.
the depth of the deck at that point, instead of 11.6 would be 4 foot less.
Correct. And I think formally that would work. You're not gonna put a table or chairs right there if that's your primary circulation. So you can consider this. There's another aspect of this whole thing which we can't really opine on, which is the swimming pool. So that needs to be approved by zoning.
So if we were to put the idea that you have and we recess the stair and then we go left to right, that also means the entire deck has to get smaller, because when we go down the stairs, we have to have a clear landing at the bottom. We can't go underneath the deck.
Yeah, but you should be able to, you should be able to figure, what's the rise and run on the existing deck?
Well, it would basically be, let's say, a landing. If you make the stairs 4 feet wide, it would also be 4 feet deep. And then we still have the same 6 feet of run.
You can work it out. You can work it out. We don't.
Well, it wouldn't work on the one side because you would be inside the pool. And what would be left over on the other side, let's say 4 feet, I'll tell you what it would be from the middle, 23 feet. And we would be taking away 6 plus 4 is 10. So the other side would be about 13 feet. So that's not too bad. 13 feet minus another 4, we would have about 8 foot of deck.
Okay, so you understand the concept.
Yes, I do. And the stair would work if we went one direction only, though. The direction of the pool, we wouldn't be able to do it.
Okay, I was just
Whatever.
trying to do some symmetry, but it doesn't really matter. It responds formally to the elevation, which I think is important to maintain. But that's our suggestion for now. And then Elizabeth, before we can do anything, what do we say about the pool?
Well, they have to get variances for accessory structures in the front yard because it's a waterfront lot, so they have to go to ZBA anyway.
So we have to come back to it
And they have to
again
check the four
anyways,
tenths.
so we'll take a look at the
The
swimming
width,
pool in general.
yeah.
And the lot width.
Yeah.
And then stair configuration,
Great.
so
I think that's, and Brent?
any comments?
No, we worked with the agent as part of the previous memorandum. We had some technical comments that they addressed with the submission of revised plans. Generally, it, with the steps aside, which are pre-existing in our opinion. They are providing an adequate buffer, they've provided the methodology in terms of the construction. They're not removing any trees, they seem to be sensitive to the Diamondback terrapins. They make reference to a lot of the things that are within the standards in code. Again, I think, if we can sort out the issue of steps, it seems to be meeting your standards.
And dry wells, ground wells, all that looks good?
So, we did make note of them needing to adhere to, and this is part of the current conditions, adhere to the chapter 245 requirements for swimming pools. Which means that, flow chlorine systems. So,
Right.
be, sensitive to the environment, installation of bleaching pools for a bleaching pool for the swimming pool servicing. And, they're gonna have to do that in order of getting a building permit anyway, but we do put it in the conditions of the permits once the board is ready to proceed in that regard. In
Some-
terms of dry wells for the remainder of the property, I don't believe that that's in the purview of the board at this
Okay.
time, because they're not proposing to do anything that would warrant that. But they did provide an engineered plan. Hold up here real quick.
So don't they, swimming pools come with like equipment, and isn't that usually something that is part of the plan? Pool equipment, is
Yeah.
that on this plan somewhere?
It should be.
Yes, there is pool equipment on the plan for the pool. It's located under the deck. Because the deck
Under
is
the
so
deck?
large, we could easily
That
put it
little
under there
box
out of
there?
sight.
Perfect, okay.
So they did
And
provide-
if I could make a comment before we close, I'm sorry, I don't want to interrupt, Brent, after you're done. Thank you.
I'm sorry, I was just gonna say they did provide a drainage and grading plan. To
Okay.
kind of show the dry well.
It seems pretty benign in my
Right.
view, so all in all.
So you'll go off to the ZBA and then come back with the new,
Or we'll discuss this.
All right,
and
so,
the stairs, right?
so Brent, you have no other comments than what you said?
No, other than they did provide a native revegetation plan for a contiguous 50-foot buffer, plant buffer. And, they're satisfied with the plant species. That they're proposing, so, I'll go through the site. So yeah, other than the board's concerns about the deck steps.
So do I hear a motion to, oh, yeah. Is there anybody in the public that would like to speak about this project?
John, you wanted to say something else?
Yeah, and I'm sorry, I'm having to be on Zoom. Where exactly are we leaving off with the existing stair? I only say that because I would like to comply with the things that you guys want, but there's only a couple places we can put this stair and only a couple configurations, and I can honestly see them all right now. I don't really need more than another 5 minutes to know that. There is no current choice that we could do other than the one I said, or recessing the deck. So I just want to know what direction I should move in. So I'm trying to propose something you guys will like a little bit better.
I think I said that our advice is to recess it and either make it symmetrical or asymmetrical, but you can, I think, accommodate the circulation, the use of the deck, and get the existing staircase.
Does
out.
anybody have any opposition to removing the stairs completely?
No.
And doing what?
Nothing. We don't have to have stairs there.
Oh, and how do you get down to the property, to the land?
Well, I want to give the client as many opportunities as possible. And although that sounds strange, some people are totally fine with that. They don't have a lot of opportunity to use that grass down there as an everyday walking anyway, because of how large the buffer is.
Right,
So if they were able to use the deck more, they might like that a little better. I just want to give them the option. So I'm going to say option 1, get rid of the stairs completely. Option 2, we recess it, sort of like what you mentioned.
That's your choice. I think it's worthy of discussion with your client.
Okay, appreciate it.
Okay, so
thank you.
do I hear a motion to table this until the next time you
November
come, which will maybe not be in November because you have to go to ZBA. Is that correct?
They do have to go.
So you understand that direction. And then we will welcome you back with open arms. Do I hear a motion for that?
I make,
I'll make a motion.
You make the motion? Do I hear a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
aye.
Okay, so we'll see you in,
Well, I think we table it to November 2nd, and then when they're not ready, then we table it again.
yeah, or whenever they are, okay.
We just roll it over.
I'm sorry to bother you guys one last time. If the client decides, hey, I don't want to deal with this pool, I don't want to wait till the ZBA and everything, we'll do it another time. Where would we stand with you guys?
It's
Still have to come back with amended plans.
Right.
Yeah, we can't approve these plans as they are.
Because of the stairs?
That's one item, yes,
And the pool.
and the pool,
Right, so if we eliminate the pool, then we're just talking about the stairs?
correct.
So if I tell you we're
What about
removing
the
the
pool?
stairs now, can we get an approval now? And the pool?
No, you need to come back with amended plans for the board to reference and any approval.
Okay, understood. Thanks for explaining. Hey, well, have a good day, everyone.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Bye.
Okay, so let's see. Next item on the agenda that was noted in is a discussion item, is that correct?
Yeah, we have
Yes.
2 of them.
The Sag Harbor Rowing Club is Lee here.
Just wanted the discussion item at this point because we're looking to put a community dock for rowing, kayaking, paddleboarding, the village use. and community rowing.
Just say your name.
Oh, I'm sorry, Lee Aldag, I'm representing Sag Harbor Community Rowing. And we're renting these, whatever the property at the end of Cove Road is referred to as Cove Park. We're looking to put a community dock down there specifically for the use of kayaking, paddleboarding, and rowing, any type of paddle sport. Not for the use of any kind of power boat, other than maybe our own launch, but we do have a separate spot for that. I want to, since this village property, you guys have final say at the end, I want this to be a project that we do together and help guide me in what I'm able to do or not able to do as we go forward. I did submit some pictures of a dock that was down in North Carolina area in Rowing Club that is practically identical to what we'd be looking to do. These are docks, they're plastic polyethylene docks that are removable, that are designed for rowing in a low profile water. They're only about 6 inches above the water. Makes it easier to launch as far as we're getting to a boat. We're looking to go out, the docks themselves would go out about 60 feet, enabling us to launch a rowing shell from either side. And if we ever get to that point, an 8-man boat, what they refer to as a chain. At the moment, we don't own any of those, but we might have that potential built in. Nothing's going to be stored or anchored to this dock. It's just for specific purposes for launch. We'll need a walkway. There's a little bit of grassland that goes down to the water. We would have decked that, I guess, that would be permanent. And then have a ramp from that edge, that drop that goes down to the docks themselves.
And what's the structure of the dock? You mentioned it is some kind of plastic, I guess, but
They're 7.5 by 10 individual pieces that are locked together with joints. It's very common in the rowing community. Anytime there's a race or the colleges all have these type of docks.
and are they just floating?
They're just floating. They're typically anchored to the shoreline and then anchors at the far end.
Permanent anchors at the far end? Or
Yeah.
The place that I sent the pictures of, we just used 2 dance boards.
Is that right?
Yeah.
And what about boat wake? Do you have much activity right there?
In that back part of the cove, it's minimal.
Yeah,
And you guys store the boats every night, or at least put them up in the racks every night? You don't keep them here overnight when they're not being used? Is that right?
Say that again.
The boats,
The boats
it's
themselves
just for
go
launching,
into the
right?
racks.
Right, I
You
saw it,
pull it
yeah.
out, you pull the boats out of the water.
Wait,
and-
wait.
Yeah, nothing would live on this dock. It's just
Oh, I see, that's a
for
reflection.
access
Yeah.
and launch. And the part on the grassland or above the grassland, depending how it goes, I would guess would be permanent. But the ramp and the docks themselves would be pulled out at the end of each season and then put back in.
Is the walkway down something that should be permeable, or would you do sand, gravel as opposed to a
Clear
wooden dock?
story or whatever. So that
I
it
think we-
doesn't,
I think he's talking about like some sort of elevated ramp, right? Like,
Preferably not too elevated. I mean, right now we walk out and then the edge of the property is roughly a 2-foot drop off right in front of that access. So we're picturing sort of from where the gravel ends in the parking lot, where it goes through the fence, is decking that, or even have a walkway, and then probably 2 pilings right where it drops off.
Right.
The pilings would be the connection for a large piece of lumber to connect the dock and the ramp to drop down. I'd hate to have to walk up to walk back down again.
Right.
Right.
To go over, and that area is pretty much flat down right now, it's not on the water. It's on solid land, that
Yeah.
walkway right now.
So
only
Brad,
2
remind
pilings
me,
over there.
what's the material that allows the light to go through so it doesn't kill like
Through flow deck.
through flow?
Billy's a little bit of the expert on that stuff, so.
Right.
Actually, Lee, can I come up?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, First Coastal has offered to help the rowing committee.
I get it.
So we're happy to get a plan that works together. The idea was to kind of get you guys on board in some respect. So before we submit to the DEC, and this happens to happen trustees.
So the actual floating chunks, can those also be something that doesn't cloud the light from getting through to the bottom? Do they make that much? Product?
As far as I know, you know, there are solid to float, and they usually have styrofoam inside, them, and they're
Oh.
encapsulated PVC, you know, all the bad words. we
All the
don't hear.
bad stuff?
We could also make it out of wood, but the beauty of these particular floats is that they're very low profile.
Mhm.
So that's great for the rowing vessels, and they're seasonal, so at the end of the season, they would come out. The dock company doesn't claim that there's any light that will necessarily go through them, but they are, the materials they're using are environmentally
Translucent.
friendly. And I can get you, you know, specs on what those docks are, but it's very common. I noticed in Riverhead, they have one that they've used for the races and the launching of the rowing club.
Really, where? I'd love to go see it.
It's right at the equipment, right before the aquarium, the town park that's there.
Hmm.
On that, and yeah, it should, I'll make sure it's there, I'll call my friends that are in Riverhead. Sometimes they pull them in and out, but
Yeah.
pretty much lives there throughout the year.
It'd be interesting to see it.
Yeah, okay.
And does theirs go out 60 feet as well?
No, there's parallels to shoreline. It
Oh.
doesn't go straight out because it's narrow part of the river, of course.
Right.
So it's out, let's say, not more than about 10 feet out away from and then parallels with the shoreline, because it doesn't stick straight out.
And you have to go to the trustees as well, the Southampton trustees with this? Yeah.
Yeah.
Brant,
Will,
how are you?
good, how are you?
What's your first read on this? Or your second read?
It's difficult to say without seeing the plans, I mean, yeah, I think we have to look at this based upon the use, you know, what is it that is needed? And weigh that against, you know, the materials that are being used and how it's going to sit in the water. You know, I'd like to see a concept.
Yeah, what we did, we drafted a plan. 2009. So, But these are recent pictures, yeah, and this,
I'm all in favor of this.
The only thing I don't like is it's gonna be really a problem with the seagrass, eelgrass beneath it.
yeah. and
It's gonna like block all the light, I think.
Yeah, just.
How
to
long
answer
is
your
the
question,
season?
We can draft.
But I'm not sure the trustees will approve this. Right.
So the difficulty we're having is that
Yeah,
size of
10 feet
dock.
Right.
It's unusual, and obviously it's used for the different purpose than a, you know, private dock.
Right.
So, but it is kind of specific to rowing vessels.
I'd be very interested in what the Southampton trustees have to say, because it is gonna occlude the light and, you know, we are in
Yeah.
a real war to try to keep our eelgrass and seagrass and et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, the elevated portions of the dock would be through flow, light penetrating.
Well, that's just the piece that comes over to the edge of the water.
Right, and-
That's the land-based part of it.
correct.
But what about the 60 feet that goes out into the water?
That would be floating.
That would be floating and it would be light obscuring.
What's the seabed there now, do you think? If you were to put on a snorkel and just go right out,
As far as growth,
yeah, what do you see down there?
sand and shells, there's nothing grass-like that's even growing in that area at all.
You know, one thing that I don't see here is a larger picture of that, the adjacencies. I gotta go down there and check it out, but,
A larger what book?
well, just to see what the, like Mary Ann's concern is, the eelgrass, I mean, what is the vegetation, but,
We could do an inventory on that.
That'd be cool.
I
And
think that would
what's-
support your argument. I mean, conceptually, I certainly like this idea. It's a community deal as opposed to a private. I get the idea that, and I think that part of our mandate is to facilitate
Access.
marine phenomenon, and this is one, it's a community one. The boats are a certain size. You can't make a 3-foot dock to accommodate a large boat. So
So is there an opportunity to narrow the width of these floats, or is it just has to be this for these types of?
it's 8 feet. It's not huge.
No, it's bigger
Because the
than
one I'm
18.
looking at here is 10. That looks pretty wide.
They say 8 by 75 on this.
That's
So
8 by
4
6, yeah.
75. So Billy, in your experience, or, I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name. Lee, sorry. In your experience, is it possible to launch these boats for narrower floats?
It's not in use both sides.
And so the other.
It's a stability, issue. The idea is to be able to use either side of the dock.
Yeah,
And they have to be this long?
Well, you see in this picture, the oars going across the dock,
Yeah, the outriggers.
and then the outriggers, the reason you absolutely need the low profile, because the riggers that come off the sides of the rowing shelf are just about that height.
yeah.
You're able to get them over the
So the
sides
low
of the dock.
profile makes sense. You
Yeah.
know, but can this be accomplished within a shorter length of?
I can turn the
Get out
floats.
into deeper water, maybe to get out into deeper water, you know, you carry an elevated structure to get out into deeper water where you know these floats are going to have less of an impact on shading or resting during low tides. You know, the idea is to try to keep them off the bottom, you know, I'm sure.
This is what you was
Yeah,
saying.
so what we propose to do is chalk those to keep them off if there's any high, elevation issue, right, depth.
I don't think there'll be an issue with that, the dock that's next door at the Redwood Marina. Goes out less than that, and it's never sitting on the ground.
Yeah, to me, it's more of the portions of this float that are gonna be setting back towards the shoreline. You know, the seaward end of it seems to make a lot of sense, we know how to chalk those, if those work. But I think like from Mary Ann's perspective is that there's gonna be a pretty large shading on the bottom. And with that amount of mass, will the area in the shallower waters closer to shore rest on the bottom? Again, we got to see the plans, you know,
Right.
Billy knows how to
But-
design these.
It's a conversation, it's a discussion.
Yeah.
But Lee, I've been down there, I don't know, not a million times, but frequently.
Right.
And I don't see 60-foot shells. So is that for like special competition, one-off events? What do you need a
The shells that we own
60-foot?
right now are
yeah.
40, the biggest one we have is 42 feet.
How many do you have of those?
Four person shell, we have 4 of those.
Okay,
If you wanna go up and take the next step up to an 8-person boat, which most people have, they get up into the 50, 60-foot range.
okay.
So we don't wanna limit our potential on what we can do for the kids there. Most of the programs have 8-person boats. We're more of an anomaly among the ones.
But what's kind of nice with this plan is it seems like it could be added on, right? It's in segments. So it could start with, accommodating what you have now. And as the club grows and you get different types of shells, it could potentially be added on. Rather than start off with something that's 60 feet when your shells are only 40 feet. And the shells, when you've launched them, could extend beyond this dock, if you will, right? When you get people in, they're
A
not,
little bit, yes.
right,
The
somewhat,
idea is to kind of scale up.
I mean, we basically
scale up over
are
time.
reducing what's on that original plan that Billy proposed, a while back. The original plan had it going on 75 feet of dock. We're already
He was
scaling that
crazy.
back down.
Ambitious.
Would it be feasible to do a two-stage deal, make it a certain distance and see how that works. And when you get larger boats, apply for an extension.
That's what I just said, yeah.
This is what Mary.
Yeah. Is that,
To answer your question, the answer is yes. I just don't want to go half cocked, into doing this. We like the right thing.
Sounds like you want to grow right away. I mean, you're ready to grow. You're ready to take it to the next level.
We want it to be there. It's not that we're ready, we're probably a year or two off from that.
Well, that's pretty soon.
So what's the ballpark cost of this?
We're estimating we're gonna be into about $75,000. The dock alone for what's
Yeah.
proposed on the pictures and stuff is about 25,000.
Right.
And
And
that's not including the ramp or any of the permit processes or anything else. Or the decking, it does not include the decking that would take place getting to the ramp,
right.
or whatever we have to do there.
And what about your relationship with your neighbor?
Good question. Relationship with the Redwood Marina,
Fine, no problem.
absolutely no problem. On the left, they're looking to get their, on the left facing the water, they're looking to get their own dock as well. The relationship has been hostile up until this point. Mostly because we're coming off the Redwood thing, we're going to the low tide mark and cut in front of their house.
Right.
That's causing, they don't want to see us, they have no interest, and police has been called on us a couple of times. So honestly, I think they'll be in favor of having the dock. I didn't come through with this last year when all this started because they were so aggravated, they put the house up for sale. Now that they.
Well, they don't even live there. They don't even live there.
They don't live. Unfortunately, they've only been there for about 2 weeks of this whole summer.
What did they do? Rent it out? It's an
Yes, they
Airbnb
rented it
or
out.
seasonal?
If they rented it, I only saw that happen once,
Wow.
so they didn't get much rental on it, but, like I said, fortunately, they have not been there. I mean, they literally will come out and yell and curse at the kids.
And they have how many no trespassing signs out there?
There's about 4 no trespassing signs down there right now, and they called the police on us 2 or 3
Well, what are they gonna
I
do
would
if you
send-
build this?
Right. I would send Billy Mack to talk to them.
Lee, what are
The
they gonna do if
nicest,
you build
lowest
it?
key guy.
Excuse me, well, if you do build this, what do you think the neighbors are gonna say?
Well,
I think they'd be in favor, honestly, because
Well, I reckon
despite the
you
relationship.
have to talk to him first.
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to submit your application, make sure you address secra as well and coastal consistency.
Sorry, can you speak a little louder?
I'm sorry, I'm just telling Billy what he has to submit with the application. And then, I think the board may wanna have a public hearing if there's concerns of neighbors that you'd wanna
Yeah.
vet that at a public hearing so these people can be heard and then move forward with any.
They haven't, I think they'll be in favor personally, because they haven't gained any traction without not being able to go in front of their property, because they're going in below their property line, below the, high tide mark. And
But it
I
seems
told
to
them when
me-
I did speak to them, we weren't gonna, I told them straight honestly, I held off on the dock last year because we thought they were gonna sell, so
Right.
it wasn't an issue. This dock, unfortunately, I mean, it's great for the rowing club, creates a lot of work for me. Especially with having taken in and out.
Right. Well, one of the things that's possible is with it extending 40 feet or 60 feet, that it's going to be visible to them. And that's one of the things that I guess they're objecting to in terms of the rowing club, like passing in front of their house. It's like, they just don't want to see you. I just encourage you before you incur more expense to get them involved. See what kind of objections they're going to throw up, how committed they are to whatever feelings they have about this proposal.
And if they,
I don't know if we should be giving that advice, but I think that at the very least, we can hold a public hearing so the board can hear how neighbors feel. And that will appease any due process issues that could be claimed later.
Yeah.
But as far as them working something out, that's for them to vet and decide on their own.
Yeah,
The applicant should also be prepared to just look at the standards.
Yeah.
This is gonna be a little tricky, because the standards actually state that if the property in question is not already approved with a lawfully pre-existing dock, the only type of dock which may be authorized must meet the following requirements. One of those requirements is shall be designed a minimum length necessary to reach a point where the water depth at the seaward terminus of the dock is 30 inches at minimum water. And then the catwalk shall provide access. So the question is whether or not that was intended to say that the dock, the floating dock itself, was supposed to sit in 30 inches of water, 2.5 feet of water, or if it was just intended to reach 2.5 feet of water. Because, you know, what they're designing, what they're showing right here gets close to that, it gets to 2.3 feet of water, but the entire float is sitting in, you know, 1 foot of water. So there's a little bit of, again, ambiguity in that. I just want to make sure that we're all aware how we're going to approach this, looking at the standards, and sure the board wants to work with the community and get this thing approved, but perhaps there's an opportunity to look past the pier line. You know, what is the pier line here? Do we seek a variance from the pier line to make it more achievable and meeting the chapter 285 requirements? So just look at all of that collectively.
Where it reaches 30 inches.
Another benefit to this proposed dock, which would obviously in favor of, is that it would minimize any disturbance of the natural shoreline right now. Get
Right.
people off the native.
There's some erosion occurring there right now,
Yeah,
so.
and,
Billy, are they gonna have any kind of issue in terms of the spacing of, let's say, Jerry's dock, now this dock, now this dock,
it seems to
they're
fit.
getting, it does?
It
Okay.
does seem to fit. It with respect to the adjacent property lines, yeah.
Gotcha.
Jerry's seen this proposed picture, he's an active member of,
Yeah, he's.
and how, you know.
No, I know,
As you know.
I'm sure he's supportive. I'm thinking more from a trustee standpoint or DC standpoint. Okay,
I think also, Billy, just a little bit more of an extensive demonstration of the materials. Well, no, the imagery, so we can see where the shoreline looks like going out a certain distance.
Right,
So we
that's
can-
the next thing we're gonna do, we're gonna have an updated topographic survey, so we get.
let's get through this meeting. Come on.
I'm sorry, I didn't see these plans.
No, that's-
What else is there? Isn't this it?
I have to
Those
know.
are- have like
And then
Big John's
that-
Comic Con,
it's helpful
that's it.
for everybody to get an
Yeah.
idea.
You have to go, it's only 6
Yeah,
I
so-
know.
Yes.
I have
Yeah,
dinner
yeah.
plans.
Oh, and
Having
that's
a dinner
nice.
Yeah. Okay, so do I hear a motion to,
I don't think
Oh,
we
we're
have a
still-
motion,
They're just gonna come back with an application.
right?
okay,
Okay, and then is there anything here that this particular board would be against in doing this or any part of it? So
Well, first of all, if it's village property, does the village have to submit the application?
No, they submit, they just sign the consent, the
Okay.
owner's endorsement,
Okay,
which they did. We had a resolution
Okay.
Oh,
authorizing
good.
this already in the village.
okay,
board.
sorry.
That's great.
Okay.
How much more? I was given a lot of permit applications and stuff, how many others? These
You can talk
applications
to
the
Billy,
village
he can
has
help you
to sign
sort
off on?
what you have to do.
Billy's your man.
Oh, Billy.
I think once they do the
Billy's
owner's
your,
endorsement, you're all set.
the expert. Billy can't help you. We'll-
Yeah.
Sorry, Billy, but you're gonna do it.
Thank you,
wanna
Billy.
hold on?
Actually, no, I'm sorry, you're.
Okay.
I didn't
Thank
realize
you,
that.
guys.
Bye.
Take care.
thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Hi,
Yeah, good luck.
Thank you, good luck.
Good luck, Lee. It's a great project.
Yeah, good luck.
Thank you
Okay.
for the work, man.
Okay, item number 2 on discussion, Susan Mead to discuss the relocation of 2 existing parking places at 2 Bluff Road.
I'm sure the Sacco Partnership, here on their behalf. He has a conflict, so finish this discussion.
Do I have to leave? Do I have to step down?
You have to leave?
Well, you're-
It's a discussion item.
Technically, you're supposed to leave the room if you
The
recuse
room?
yourself.
American
You can sit
Hotel.
in the audience.
Can I stay in the
You're
audience?
supposed to leave. You stay in the hall and sit in the audience.
Wow.
The board's think I
When
would
we,
have
when we,
decided something.
when we got we own the fee of the property, the town of Southampton has a conservation easement and a use easement. But we're the fee owner and we were charged in our agreement with the town of Southampton, which I did not spend because it's about 20 pages, to come up with some additional on-site parking for the visitors. We have tours to the property by reservation only. And currently, There are 2 spaces in the garage and 2 as you drive down the driveway. We have to have 2 of them. Our surveyor, provided 2 possible locations before we closed on the property that we turned into the town. They approved 1. But the problem is, we would have to take out 2 little large trees.
No.
I know, and we didn't wanna do that, so we this kind of across the street. And he came up with another plan. And we moved the 2 from the end of the driveway. I think I submitted a survey, did I not? It's, my copy is so big, I brought extra copies, but I'm happy to give you mine.
This?
I think it's.
Oh, yes, here we go.
Okay. If you look at your survey and you drive down the driveway, there are 2 at the end, which are not marked on that, but it's a residential house. People park at the end of the driveway. What we've done is we've removed those 2 and we have put 5 off the existing driveway.
Is that on this picture?
Yes. Can I walk up?
Yes, please.
Yeah, it's.
Here you go. Here's where people pull in now, they're just a couple of spaces.
Mhm.
And we're charged with providing 2 more, or 3 more, excuse me. So we move these 2, and we have a handicap one here, and then we have 1 more.
Okay.
That's all we're doing, and we went to the ARB, and they said, well, do you need to go to the harbor committee? It's a gravel surface, we're finishing it the same way, we're laying it with bricks just like the existing one. And nobody knew, so I'm here because I don't know either. And we're here to ask you, do we need to go to the harbor?
Yes, we do.
So these are, so you're gonna go here.
Official application. When I've wasted your time, nobody can tell me that. So
No, that's okay. You didn't waste our time. Now, when you come back with this plan, it'll be easier,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Is that a tree?
I like discussion items because if it were wrong, you would just, then you wouldn't spend a lot of time and effort and money.
And I
It's
honestly.
within
I
150
need
feet of the wetlands, right?
Mhm.
That's the standard.
Mhm.
The property is definitely, yeah.
And
Sure,
it's
proposed
got
parking
520
spaces.
feet of wetlands.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
Do you have views to the east and the west?
you mean in terms of pictures?
No.
No, in
from
terms
the-
of
from the
like
Site.
view shed? Do you look out over Morris Pond as well as?
It's a 1.8 acre site and there's approximately 520 feet of frontage on water.
Right,
And so it goes literally like that.
all the way around.
I can't.
So I need a survey, a proper survey, not a hand drawing,
Right.
and I have a description of the finish. Do I
And-
need measurements on the survey from?
Wetlands
Yes.
to the
Yeah,
parking
to the
lots,
wetlands.
definitely.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Alright, so I need to get our surveyor back out there.
Right.
Yeah.
And I guess it's unnecessary to state, but the gravel can't be the kind that's like tar based. It's gotta be like permeable, right?
It is.
Okay,
We're simply replicating what's there, and our volunteer installer is Rachel Lynch Pools.
Oh,
So,
Okay.
as Rachel is on our board, we're all volunteers.
good people.
Yeah,
good.
okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Sue. Benny. The next item is adjournment.
We need her back.
Herbert,
You're back.
you're back. Are there any other items that anybody wants to discuss?
Can I just ask a question of Liz? We had talked at one point about having like a system where these belabored permits get checked off in terms of compliance. Where are we on that?
What do you mean, with respect to a code amendment
Well, in terms of how
or a process?
a process,
Before a CO is issued? Yeah. Yes, we are, I was talking to Rick about this, it's like we're checking other codes. to see if
Okay.
It's actually codified in other municipalities, and it's not, it's just a measure, it's a procedure that's undertaken, so before a CO is issued, the environmental planner goes out and checks to make sure that the plantings were planted
Yeah,
in accordance with the approved plans, and
Right.
then the CO should issue.
right.
Yeah,
What about a final survey?
that final survey should be what you approve.
Yeah.
Grant, I mean, that's what's getting approved.
That's usually part
It's
of getting a
referenced in your
CO.
wetland permit.
Yeah.
Is your approval. You should reference your survey. that
But
you
we're not,
approved.
we're not gonna see it, right? It's the environmental planner.
Yes. it
And
would
who
be-
is that gonna be? Our consultant?
NPV, yeah.
Perfect,
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah.
And where is that in process right now?
Well, I mean, that's something that we started looking at with respect to other municipal codes, and I had talked to Grant about it briefly because of the, I was trying to think about how to codify it,
Right,
put it into your 2 and 5.
right,
And then I said, so when I do that, when I start a code amendment, I start looking at other codes and see how
Right,
they do it.
perfect.
But then I found out it was a policy. So then I was talking to Brand to see if this is something that we could institute as a policy rather than a code amendment. So we're still thinking about that.
okay.
Yeah.
So do you think
So
in
that's
6
where we are.
months we'll be?
I mean, yeah, I mean, if it's a policy,
I mean,
we can
like,
talk to building and start to figure out how to work that in sooner rather than later. But,
yeah,
you know, it's something I have to talk to him about as well.
It has to be a joint effort, really.
Yeah.
Because what people are striving for are the COs, like the certificate of occupancy. to
Right.
Close out their building permits.
Right.
They do that as an important part of financing.
Totally.
Requirements and whatnot. So, I mean, we have to figure out a way to link your certificate of compliance.
it has to be
CO.
before they get that CO.
Right.
It depends, you know,
Yeah.
if that's how the village wants to work it, you know, otherwise you're.
Otherwise,
saying,
it doesn't
well,
count for anything. Nobody's gonna care.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, it's typically prior to a CO.
Yeah.
You would have to have
Yeah.
everything, everything, all the conditions of every permit
Permit,
should be completed prior to
okay.
prior to CO issuing.
I'm not clear, is there an updated survey that is required?
There's
Or
a,
an as-built survey, so
Mhm.
when.
An as-built survey?
When you finish the project, you apply to, in this case, it would be the harbor committee to say, okay, we completed our project. Here are the limits of the buffer, and here's where everything that you approved has been constructed. And that triggered us to go out and inspect the sites. You know, we trusted the surveyor, their license is on the line.
Yeah,
It's more than seeing if all of the details of the approval were set into place, were the plant materials that were specified
Right.
put into place, are they surviving at that time?
okay.
That's another thing though, there's a survivability requirement that could extend beyond the issuance of the CO.
Right,
So there's still not necessarily a release of it, because you still have to guarantee those plant materials.
right.
for
Well, it's C of O, what is it, 80%
specified-
or something like that, or is there a designated percentage?
80% of
CO.
what?
Well, he puts the plants in, they're approved, and then you look at the C of, you go to do the C of O and
Survivability.
there's 20% alive.
Oh.
What's that number?
That's an easy one.
Yeah.
85% survival.
That's,
So-
okay, it's 85, not
And if
80.
they come to us and they say it's time for an inspection, we go out, and look at it, it's less than 60%. It's very
Ding.
easy, you know, if it's close to that 85%, it's tricky, but what I'm saying is, once we issue.
Yeah.
Compliance, let's call it wetlands compliance, environmental compliance, whatever you wanna call it, once we issue that. If it's less than the 2-year survivability requirement, they're still required to
Come
meet
back.
that
Right.
2-year survivability.
Got it.
The enforcement of that is what we also talked about, that's a little tricky.
Right,
but
that's
I
what
do
it's
think you
about.
could make it a condition of your approval too. I mean, I think you put.
We
something-
have done
Yeah,
that
you have it done.
periodically.
Yeah.
And that's a very, you know, that's one of the conditions of approval, that he goes out and inspects and makes sure the plantings were actually planted. I
Right.
mean, that's a valid condition to put in the.
And
permit.
then
Well,
after 2
It has to
years,
be
there's a
provided.
I think the installer, the landscaper has to testify like in 2 or 3 years that there's like the survivability or that their survival rate is met the threshold. Isn't that true? Isn't that part of all our permits?
It's not the landscaper, it's the owner.
It's the applicant.
The owner is the one responsible for
Yeah.
the compliance with permits that you issue. Your permits are issued to the owner
Right,
or vendee. The vendee is usually assigned by the owner to act as their representative. That person who the permit is issued to is responsible for making sure it's met compliance. Or, and this can correct me on this, if the property transfers ownership, perhaps the permit then transfers with it. So that person is then responsible. Probably probably what is the most, the trickiest thing in my mind, like going around about with regards to the inspection of those buffers is there has to be a mechanism put into place that triggers them to notify us when the buffer is planted. Because that's technically when
The clock
the
starts
clock will
running,
start.
yeah.
And then, once we have that, we can set a calendar of, say, an annual inspection for the next 2 to 3 years to make sure that that survivability is maintained.
Right.
Without us knowing when the plans are executed, it's just really.
Yeah, it's 100%
Condition of
survivable.
approval, I mean,
Well,
so
same
they
with
can't,
the,
the same,
same with the certificate of compliance, whatever we're
Right.
gonna call it.
So-
condition of approval, and then they'll have to do it.
So the plants could go in June, April, something like that. But then all the work on the building isn't ready for a CO inspection until, say, September. But you want the clock to start running when the plants hit the ground?
Actually, I mean, if you want to look at it this way, the village want the clock to start running once the certificate of compliance is issued.
That gives us even more protection.
Because then it gives the village more, certainty that that 2 years is extended
Yes.
beyond the time that you said, okay, you're good.
Yeah,
I don't know, maybe that's an easier way to approach it. Because otherwise, we have no idea when the plant material is going. It's
right. I think they should the clock should just start with when we're getting all the stuff for the CO bundled together.
It makes sense, because usually the buffers are the last things that are installed in a project.
Right.
But again, I think it's also true that when you get the C of O, everything's gonna look great. It's 2 years down the road where I think the real issue is to whether this landscape plan was successful or not. So whether you have that level of survival.
I agree.
And that's, we haven't made that connection yet, so.
Right.
We've been struggling to get there.
Are we agreeable that we could simply just make them?
Yeah, they could be
two
conditions of
items?
approval.
Yeah,
We can draft them and send them to the board, so you can take a look at the language and see if it satisfies what you want. And
right.
then we'll just put them in the next approval.
So that would be policy rather than law.
Well, now, it would be,
Is there an enforcement difference? Is one stronger in terms of?
No,
enforcement?
I don't think so, because the permit, if you don't satisfy the conditions of approval, the permit is null and void, right? So it's,
And how do we culturally get that instituted here?
I don't think it should be a problem. This is a pretty standard thing in most municipalities.
Okay,
I think the applicants will understand.
well, I'm thinking too about coordinating with the building department in the issuance of a
I
CO.
think it'll be between the applicant contacting Nelson Pope and Voorhees to go out and inspect as well. I think it'll be a burden on the applicant to actually reach out,
Right,
make sure that it's inspected.
and the building department will know that they have to have that sign off from our environmental planner before they issue the CO.
I think we simply just like work up a little form, like a notice of
Like a form.
completion.
Yeah.
DC does it, a lot of the other municipalities do it, notice of completion submitted to the harbor committee with a copy of photographs and the as-built survey triggers us to go out and do an inspection. And then, like as Herb was saying, like once that certificate of compliance, whatever we're gonna call it, is issued, then the clock starts in their 2 years survivability.
Okay, good.
Or coordinated, that's good.
Makes sense?
Yes.
That sounds great.
Thank you.
Okay,
It's great.
do I hear a motion for adjournment?
I make a motion to adjourn.
I will second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, can we turn the microphone
Aye,
off?
aye, aye.
I'd like to ask a question.